Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're all well this evening or early morning, whatever it might be for you. Welcome back to Day Drinking Game Part 2 of Part 2. Irish Rover, always here to save the day. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate you. Snarky, what's happening? Hey everybody, we have a new mod in the house. And that would be Snarky User. So we've made another mod shift, and I think we'll have a couple mods in the house tonight. So if you are joining us here with ill intent to hijack the chat, it won't last long. If you want to rip into me, send me an email. I might read it, I might not. But I'm not in my jail cell this evening. Yay, I am in a beautiful ski chalet in our high country. Came to the hills for some R&R, a little bit of R&R, and to see what's going on with the snow cover here in our high country, which isn't much in Colorado. But whatever, I don't ski. What do I care? I mean, you know, it's only like $200 a day for a ski pass here now. Yeah. My kids grew up on the slopes in a basin every weekend. And we used to be able to afford that as a family back in the day. It wasn't all that long ago, like 15 years or so ago. But wouldn't have traded that for the world for them. I am a Colorado native, and I have never once been on a ski slope. I have passed out on a ski slope or at the bottom of the ski slope waiting for my family. I get altitude sickness really bad. I am pathetic. I am pathetic in a lot of ways. Altitude sickness is a real deal, and if you have it, it can be deadly. So if you ever pay a visit to the high country in Colorado, pay attention to yourself if you've never been in this high altitude. It can have some catastrophic effects on you, and don't come up here dehydrated. Okay, so speaking of hydration, what's everybody got going on tonight? I'm doing my favorite Waterloo. It is the orange vanilla. This is a hard variety to find. No wonder they want to lock me up. Yeah, I don't have enough light to be in my jail cell this evening, but as you can see, we have the, I'm not getting completely out of jail. We all know that. So, cheers. Pour it up. We're going to be doing a lot of drinking tonight. Let's go. Hey, welcome in. Animals, how are you? Lodge skiing can be mastered in a single lesson. McKees, Rose Garden, how are you? Good to see you in here. Batman Wayne, I was reading some of your stuff before we started. You didn't hijack. It's all good. And Sylvia, I read some of your stuff too before the stream started. You have to be on certain devices to be able to copy people. I think you have to be on your computer. I know I can't highlight people from my iPhone. I don't know if you can do it from your Android. But yeah, it's a pain in the butt to tag people on only certain platforms can do that. Gary, how are you? Jonathan, how are you? Bruce, hello from North Carolina. Hello, hello, hello. Let's turn these little jams off. Fight, fight, fight. Thanks for the live. Yeah, so we're gonna play some more video of that 2-hour and 53-minute exclusion hearing. This is the second time Englewood has held one of these hearings to ban me from their, compound. where only the elite may attend. So, but before we get into this, I want to wait for a few others to join this live stream. Um, there's some bad stuff coming up this week, and it's really bugging me. And if it doesn't go down this week, it's going down in a few weeks. For those of you that have followed me for a while, you remember the story in Englewood of my friend Josh and what happened in the park a year ago this past October, Jason Park to be exact. It's a dog park in Englewood. And Josh reached out to me. I didn't know him before this event took place. He reached out to me in, I believe, like November of last year and said, "Hey, I watch your channel and I've run into this issue and I can't get any body cam from Englewood." Go figure. I don't know quite what to do. Could you get back in contact with me? I get a lot of emails like that, a lot. And I'm going to be honest with you, I can't respond to all of them because I get them from all over the metro area. There is always somebody in crisis needing help. And I can't do it all. And I apologize. But this particular email really caught my attention because this individual that was writing me was on point about a lot of things with Englewood. So I started communicating with him and unraveling this, and it turned out that everything he was telling me was the truth, and it was very concerning. Josh lives in homelessness in his vehicle, and he had gone to the park one night. It was still open. It was a dog park. He went there to let his dogs use the dog park. And he met a woman while he was there, another woman that lives in her vehicle, who also had a dog. So what they had in common that night was dogs in a dog park. They didn't even know each other. And Josh offered to help this woman because it was October. It was starting to get cold. There was something wrong with her heater. There was something going on underneath the dash. And now that I've gotten to know Josh and what a kind human being he is, all he had to do was tell her no that night and go on his way. And his life wouldn't have been forever altered. Good guy activism, that's sweet. Thank you very much. Fab Daddy, what's happening? Cat Scratch. Yeah, they closed the dog parks during COVID. So, but being the good-natured human being that Josh is, he offered to work on her heater to fix it for her. And as he was doing that, she was just rearranging some stuff in her car. She had her trunk open. She had some things outside of the car. There wasn't a mess. It didn't look like there were any crimes being committed. But lo and behold, a neighbor called 911. And you can only imagine what happened from there. Ultimately, Josh did nothing wrong. These cops, these Englewood cops, Alois, Morrison, a couple others, I don't have the reports in front of me, took the situation from 0 to 500 in a matter of minutes. They had no reason to do it. They'd already established that no crime was occurring. There were no vehicles being stripped. There were no robberies or vehicle thefts in progress. None of that was going on. But they demanded that Josh ID himself. And when he wouldn't do that, then they demanded that he give up his vehicle information. And when he wouldn't do that, Josh got in his vehicle as he was not being detained, and he tried to leave. And those cops beat the living shit out of him and tased him. And he got away with a taser barb in his chest. Yeah. So he's being charged with felony assault on a peace officer. and he is going to fight this all the way. He already sat in jail for a couple months on it. And this judge that he has in Arapahoe County ruled against him in every way, shape, or form that she could in all his motions hearings. You know how it comes down to trial and what the jury can and can't hear, according to a judge. Well, she's made sure that they can't hear the relevant information. Yeah. So they have so many trials going on over there in Arapahoe County and so much BS from, Englewood and all these other stupid ass jurisdictions that get their jollies off destroying people's lives. They've got the courts so loaded that Josh is third in priority on speedy trial for the day that he's scheduled for trial. And so they've already rescheduled the trial for another time in December. However, Josh is not willing to waive his speedy trial. So now they're going to put it in front of another judge, apparently, on Tuesday. But we won't know till Monday night. So all the rulings that this judge has made are just upheld by a new judge because a guy won't give up his speedy trial rights? We know what the system is about. Just us. So there is going to be a long week ahead if Josh goes to jail. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but I feel really bad for the guy. And Josh, if you're watching, I'm going to be there. I am. So that's that. I just wanted to put that out there because it's not good. And I'm going to spend a lot of time here over the next month, starting this week, focusing on shelter issues. He's got an attorney, Rose Garden. He's got an attorney. Thanks for popping in. Let's go. Appreciate that. So, does he have the best attorney in the world? No, but takes a lot of money to get those types of attorneys. RTV, hello. So, back to the shelter issue. Just so you know, tomorrow night is the Englewood City Council meeting that I'm banned from. I will be speaking. Stay tuned. We will go to a shelter meeting in Denver this week, and then we are going to spend some time bolstering a nonprofit in Englewood that's going to get the brunt of being an overflow shelter for a failing nonprofit that was given over $100,000 by Arapahoe County this year to do severe weather sheltering. Well, turns out that that nonprofit didn't shelter anybody in the last storm. I mean, I stand to be proven wrong, but I'd like to see the proof. So, we've got this other nonprofit that got over $100,000 from the county, got $5,000 from Englewood, $5,000 from Littleton, and provided no shelter in 5 days of severe weather. And where did all those people go? They went over to Movement 5280. The same organization that opens their doors all the time to people. The same organization that's got a witch hunt going on for them by the neighbors of Englewood. So I want to spend some time bolstering Movement 5280. So I'm going to ask those of you that can give tonight for warm gear, please do so if you can, because that too will support 5280. But we're going to be doing some major fundraising for Movement 5280. And that's in Englewood, just so you know. And I want to thank everybody for all the donations from the last stream that we did. You see that banner scrolling across the bottom. Some of you are exceptionally generous, and it's not unnoticed by me. And every little bit helps. So thank you. And if you can, please do it again. So, cheers. Tony Sweet from New York City. How are you? So I think I pinned a comment in the chat that if you missed Friday's live stream of the first half of this exclusion hearing, you can go back and watch that. You're going to have to put up with me again tonight, increasing the speed and maybe screwing up timestamps, but we'll get through it. It'll be fun. And every time it goes real slow, you're supposed to take a drink. Now, you're going to be drinking pretty solidly for about 2 minutes right off the bat. Bob, how are you? Good to see you. So, we're going to get right into it. Oh, wait. No, we're not. Before we do that, our guy Nathan Cash, that attorney that's representing the city, we got to talk about him for a minute. Nathan Cash. Let's take a look here. So, yeah, he got his JD from the University of Colorado. He just graduated in 23. He's an associate attorney for this firm, Hoffman, Parker, Wilson, and Carberry, that only represent government. Okay. Only. Nathan represented the city and county of Denver in both civil and criminal proceedings. Interesting. I have a feeling this was one of the firms in my Denver lawsuit. In some capacity, I think. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look. Nathan might have been involved behind the scenes. I don't know. But in Nathan's free time, he enjoys hiking with his puppy and brewing specialty coffee beverages. Cheers. Our practice areas here at Hoffman, Parker, Wilson, and blah, blah, blah. Look what we do. Our representative clients. Look who we represent. Aurora, Blackhawk, Brighton, Canyon City, Centennial, Commerce City, Dacono, Denver, Englewood, Fort Collins, Golden Grand Junction, Lakewood. Pretty much the entire state of Colorado. And then on top of that, special districts, of course, and other public entities. You know, this whole thing we call government overreach. This right here sums it up to the point of what we've allowed government to become. Look at this shit show that this firm represents. And they obviously did not send their most seasoned attorney on this case because they got a whole bunch of them. We got all these guys here. We got all these guys here. This guy. All these senior associates. Well, one. Then we got all these guys here. Then we got Nathan. And that's Nathan's bio. Cute, huh? Yeah, totally. Okay, that's a little bit about Nathan. I don't know what to say about him. He's piecework. And yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Okay, so let's jump into the video. This is the hearing. This is at 1 hour and 40 minutes into the hearing. You remember the rules, right? Every time you hear it slow down, take your drink. Give me 1 second here. All right, here we go.
I have nothing further for this witness.
All right, thank you. Any rebuttal?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly.
And you guys, this is where Tamara really, really blows it. This is where she completely contradicts everything she's already said. We even get her on the record in a couple of lies. This is where she falls apart.
And hearing officer, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Niles, for your patience and for being here today. I have a few questions just about the testimony you gave, hopefully to clarify a few issues just on a few points. So you spoke with opposing counsel about how the mayor had been designated as an official by email approximately 90 days ago. Is that accurate to what you testified to?
Yes.
Okay, and just for clarification, for sure this was prior to the October 7th public comment period?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Additionally, we watched and they're admitted into evidence several exhibits that show city council public comment periods from 2023 as well as earlier in 2024. I guess specifically sticking to the 2023 videos, at this time, had the mayor been formally designated to enforce the rules?
That would have been 2023 would have been prior to the email, but in practice, he was charged with maintaining order during city council meetings. I would have to look at what charter and municipal code specifically says about the mayor's authority on that, but no, the city manager had not given him a designation specifically.
Thank you. And we spoke quite a bit and you testified quite a bit about the city policy that requires an individual to provide their cross streets or address if they live in Englewood prior to giving public comment. So just like to turn your attention to that for a moment. So with regard to that policy, first of all, does the authorized official charged with maintaining order in city council meetings, do they have discretion to enforce city policies?
Use Venmo Groups to seamlessly add and pay expenses all in one place.
Yes, I would say it's their responsibility to do so. I think sometimes we've never seen a violation, and the mayor is an elected official just trying to do the best that he can, and so he doesn't know what to do, and so he may ask me after the meeting some information about what should I do if this happens again. But yes, it's his responsibility to enforce those policies.
All right. So based on your knowledge as the city attorney, and again, if anything gets into privileged information, please just let me know. I don't want to overstep on the bounds of confidentiality. However, to your knowledge, just because the mayor declines to enforce a rule when he notices a violation does not mean that he acknowledges that a violation did not occur or that the rule is unenforceable. Is that correct?
That's right. Failure to enforce is not thereby waive the rule created by the governing body or the law.
Okay, thank you. And then going back to turning your attention to Ms. Benson's conduct in general, as well as the exclusion notice, which is admitted as Exhibit 2. Was Ms. Benson excluded for violating a policy requiring her to give her address prior to delivering public comment?
No, in fact, that was the initial incident that started this. That's not why she was excluded. She was excluded for disturbing the meeting, not allowing the mayor to speak when the mayor had the floor. And then secondarily for when the mayor requested her to leave, that she failed to do so. Both are violations of state law that form the basis for the exclusion, not the failure to give the address information.
All right, thank you. So to your knowledge, it was not Ms. Benson's, Ms. Benson would not have been excluded had she complied even after violating the city policy. I can rephrase. Let me, I believe you've answered that she was not excluded for a violation of the city policy. I don't want to be repetitive on that front. But can you just remind the court, based on your knowledge, as well as the person who issued the exclusion notice, why Ms. Benson was excluded? or which, turning to the standards of behavior, which standards of behavior that she violated?
Yes, so she violated the disruptive activity behavior by interfering with the normal operation of city council meeting, specifically when the mayor had the floor, not allowing the mayor to speak.
Okay, yeah, I'll cut you off right there. So
And then the secondary one of the criminal violation of the two violations of statute, which overlap with the disturbing the meeting, because that's also a statutory violation.
Yes, okay, thank you. So going back to the first violation of disruptive behavior, that does not specifically identify any criminal statute or is contingent on any criminal statute. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that?
So the disruptive behavior violation that you've testified is on the standards of behavior. That is a violation of city policy. It's not enumerated on the standards of behavior as a violation of state law. Is that correct?
Yes and no, because tier 2 does specifically refer to violation of any applicable criminal law. But so it refers to it by reference. However, a criminal case, the prosecutor has to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and they are guilty until proven innocence. In this case, it's a preponderance of the evidence.
Did y'all hear that? Guilty until proven innocent. They have no idea what they are doing right now. None. They have no idea what they're talking about. Nathan doesn't even know how to guide her out of this disaster. They just keep digging the hole deeper and deeper and deeper.
Standard, which is a much lower standard.
I apologize. I'm probably being confusing. Let me clarify just a little bit. So you've testified that she is excluded 1 for a tier 1 violation of disruptive behavior or actions, and then 2 for 3 enumerated statutory violations. Is that correct?
Yes, then down at the bottom it says other violations of CRS 18-9-110 during city council meeting.
But just this disruptive behavior violation in and of itself, not the 3 statutory violations. That violation of itself, to your knowledge, is not contingent upon a state statute or any criminal law. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct, because some people could maybe disrupt the library by screaming in the library. That's not necessarily a criminal violation, but there are certain library rules regarding your tone of voice and volume. So whether or not a criminal case resulted or the status of that criminal case is irrelevant to the proceeding for an exclusion.
Okay, thank you. And then just one more question about the standards of behavior. To your knowledge, a conviction is not required to demonstrate a violation of the city policy related to violating any applicable criminal law. Is that correct?
That's correct, because I mean, for several reasons. For example, the DA could decline prosecution on a matter, but that doesn't prohibit the city proceeding for an exclusion arising out of the same behavior. And again, even if it doesn't arise to the criminal level, it still can form the basis of an exclusion for preponderance of the evidence for non-criminal behavior.
Okay, thank you very much. And going back, we watched the video several times now of the incident itself on October 7th at the public commenting period. We heard testimony with regard to the green, yellow, and red light, as well as the green light on the microphone itself. To your knowledge, is because the green light on the microphone is on, does that indicate that someone is authorized to speak?
No, the green light on the microphone is something we do ourselves. So for example, I'm pushing a button, it turned my light off. It's something I control on the microphone.
Yeah, I've been struggling with it all morning, so I appreciate that.
We put a star button to help people
Yeah.
on the buttons.
And then we've testified as well. I can review the video if necessary, but if you remember, there may not be a need to. But at some point when Ms. Benson comes up and is acknowledged by the mayor, this light turned green. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what the video showed.
Okay, and then after Ms. Benson refused to give her address information and was interrupting the mayor, the light was cut off. Is that correct?
I think so, but I would defer to the video that's already been admitted into evidence. I think we already talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, no worries at all. I just want to clarify one thing with regards to that aspect. I'm pulling up Exhibit 1, and I am pulling to 519, and that's what should be the beginning of Ms. Benson's testimony. Let me play a moment of that.
Do you know then if possibly the other people there are related or just, I know it's,
Some are related and some are not.
okay, all right, that's what I needed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Allison. Thank you for coming tonight. Up next is Regan Benson with no topic given. Good evening, Regan. If you could just state your name and your address for cross streets.
Good evening, council. I'm not giving you my cross streets or my address, but it is good to see you again. I want to talk
Regan,
to you
actually,
about
can you
all
say-
those things that
Regan,
we've talked about in
Regan,
the
can you please
past
hold?
as far as the
Regan.
criminalization.
Okay, so right there, Ms. Niles, to your knowledge, was the light turned off?
Yes, and I do want to apologize to Ms. Hubbard. I just realized I can see the screen right here, and close up I can see the time. So I didn't even realize there were screens right in front of my face.
Actually, they haven't been working most of the time.
Okay.
Sometimes they work, so it's helpful, and if they don't, I'm looking up here. But anyway,
Okay.
for the
So I can now see at 6:02 on the video, the lights went off. That tells me that likely the city clerk went ahead and turned it on. And then when the city clerk realized that that Ms. Benson actually wasn't recognized to speak because she hadn't given the information, she then turned it off. Probably a whoops information or a reaction to that, and then undid it. But I am completely speculating. All I know for sure is that the city clerks manually turned it on and off.
Okay, so the mayor, who's the authorized official, isn't manually turning the light on and off himself. Is that correct?
No, a staff member is.
Thank you. And then I'm going to play just a little bit more of the video.
That you-
Regan.
Excuse me.
No, Regan,
This
we
is
asked
my
you for-
time.
Regan, we asked you
Excuse
for
me.
your
This is my time.
Regan, if you
and
can please
I'm going
stop.
to make public comment, and I'm going to do it for 3 minutes uninterrupted. And if you interrupt me, I'm going to talk louder.
Regan,
So,
no,
back
Regan,
to
I
my
asked you just to state
public
the city that you reside in.
comment. Standing up here.
Mayor, the
and
speaker
talking to you
is interrupting the
about
meeting.
criminalization that you started down in the
Call of
library
order.
on me.
Regan, call of
Guess
order.
what?
Regan, please, Regan, can you please stop speaking?
You guys decided you're going to be right.
Mayor, can I ask that we take a break?
I agree. So city council's going to take a break while the city attorney and the police department figure out a way to control the situation. Thank you.
Okay, so based on what you just saw, the recess was called at approximately 6 minutes and 53 seconds into this video. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I can see the clock on this little screen right in front of me.
And then I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to the end of the recess. I'll go a few seconds before just so we don't miss anything.
Ms. Benson, your time is
So
up.
10:54, so I'm jumping.
Your time is up. Ms. Benson,
Okay, so at approximately, we'll just call it 10, it cuts in a little bit. So we'll just say 10 minutes and 50 seconds approximately is when city council reconvenes to address Ms. Benson. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe the previous on cross, it was 10 minutes and 53 seconds.
Okay, thank you. And then again, the video went to splash screen and cut out for a while, but to your knowledge, Ms. Benson did continue to speak and was present at the podium during this time. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I had about the video. I'm going to move on just to ask a few last questions. Hopefully it won't take too long. So we've testified with regard a little bit to the city code, specifically with regard to the publication of the city code online. So does this, to your knowledge, does the city's online code include adopted ordinances that you can see that an ordinance was adopted prior to its formal incorporation?
Yes.
Okay. And in addition to that, on the code itself, there's a note if there is a pending ordinance that will affect the code. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
My charter ordinances are effective 30 days after second publication.
Okay, thank you. And then finally, this is just based on your knowledge as a longtime attorney and a city attorney. Generally in criminal matters, is ignorance that a law exists a defense to being charged with a law or a ordinance?
No, in fact, there's case law specifically to that effect.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to clarify, we heard a little bit about a previous exclusion notice issued to Damian Elegant. I just want to clarify that to your knowledge, you're unaware of any communication between the city attorney's office and Mr. Elegant.
No, we have multiple attorneys in the city attorney's office as well as the city prosecutor. So no, I don't have knowledge of that. And I personally had no conversations with Mr. Elegant.
Okay, thank you. And then I just have 1 or 2 more questions about the conditions of the exclusion notice itself. So to clarify, as part of the 45-day exclusion to Ms. Benson, is she prevented from delivering public comment at future city council meetings?
No, during the exclusion period, she can still give public comment. She can still attend city council meetings. It would just be online via video. And the way it works, the screen over here that has the 4 icons in the corner, her name would be up on the screen, and during public comment, her picture would come up and she could still give public comment. So the exclusion doesn't prohibit that. It just prohibits her from personally attending city council chambers for 45 days. But there's a full video option, interactive. We regularly have city council members attend via video as well.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question I have with regard to the exclusion notice is, I can refer to the exhibit if you don't remember off the top of your head, but does it include any exceptions enumerated on the notice of exclusion itself?
Yes, there is an exception at the top of page 2.
And can you just read
on
that
exhibit
for me?
2. Yes. It states, if no alternative location or manner exists, you may conduct in-person official city business at the city location above by first contacting Englewood Police Department with a phone number to arrange for a police escort or as ordered by the Englewood Municipal Judge. So because there is an alternative manner to attend via video, I don't know that that would apply here, but there is an exception. This doesn't prohibit conducting city business.
Okay, so pursuant to the exception, if a hearing officer or some other adjudicative body were to determine that there was an official business purpose that Ms. Benson had to be here, she'd be permitted to under the exclusion notice. Is that correct?
Yes, if she first contacted Englewood Police Department, but again, that's if no alternative location or manner exists.
All right, thank you. And then, so the only thing that Ms. Benson is prevented from is to deliver public comment physically standing at this podium, but otherwise has access to city council meetings.
Actually, the exclusion doesn't even refer to public comment. It's just applies to just Englewood City Council chambers in person.
No, I misstated that. I apologize. What I meant to say was, so the only thing that she's excluded from is being present in city council chambers for 45 days, but still has alternative means to deliver speech on any topic that she'd like within the city's rules.
Yes, and again, it just applies to in person, so she can still attend city council meetings just via video.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Well, let's talk about that for just a minute. Because they're busted big time. For those of you that watched some stuff go down this week, I tried to attend 2 things in those city council chambers. And you heard them say, if no alternative method exists, call the cops, get a police escort, or otherwise ordered by the municipal judge. So they had the new chief of police swearing in ceremony on Tuesday, right? And then they had Zeph's other exclusion hearing on Friday in the council chambers. I followed all process and was denied. And it's all on video. Thank you. So we're not real sure what's going on. So I've filed a motion with the court, and I followed the process to ask for a police escort, and I was told by Carrie, the supervisor of dispatch, that she had been told that, oh, there's Sean. Sean, do I have approval to go into this?
No, you don't.
So no escort, no
No.
police escort?
No. It's a private swearing in.
Oh, this is a private event?
It is. It is.
Oh, it's private to swear in a new chief of police. Uh-huh. Private event. You know why he did that? They're so stupid. They are just so damn stupid. And what I didn't finish saying was that Carrie from the police department, who is the dispatch supervisor, verbally told me on a non-recorded line that somebody would be calling me to let me know that the city attorney had decided that I would not be allowed to attend the swearing-in ceremony of the chief in the council chambers. I started that at 8 o'clock that morning. And I filed a motion with the judge at 10:30. That also was denied because, assumably, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on this, he has no jurisdiction over that. The municipal judge does not report to the city. He does not work for the city. He is the only elected judge in the state of Colorado in a municipality. Okay. I didn't expect him to uphold that. I was grateful that they showed me professional courtesy and issued that ruling within hours. And it was handed to me shortly after Sean walked by me and said that this was now an administrative private event. And I've got some video of him later confirming that it definitely wasn't advertised to the public. Yep. Got all that proof too, you idiot, Sean. I don't know. I don't know who's telling them. It's Tamara. This woman, like I told you guys, she couldn't even keep a job in the private sector with a collection agency. She has only ever worked for government. And they just railroad people. They're just used to doing this crap. And they're getting caught this time. And it's not going to fly. And then they doubled down on Friday. Same thing. I called again for a police escort. And Sergeant Adam Wright called me back off the record, got flip with me, immediately tries to poke. Is Reagan Benson available? Yeah, this is Regan. Yeah, so we're not going to give you an escort into that hearing unless you're called to testify. Oh, who told you that? Tamara tell you that? I said, is your body cam on now? You recording this call? No, but I could turn it on now if you want me to. I said, sure. Click. So it's just the continual game playing. So Zeph had his hearing Friday. It was open. Zeph came out to use the bathroom when I was there. I said, what's up? Because Sergeant Adam Wright told me that it was a closed hearing. And I wanted to know who told him that. And he wouldn't tell me that. Go figure. I'm not going to argue with you. Oh, yeah, because you punks are making shit up again. Well, they're not really making it up. They just don't want to admit that Tamara has them all by a leash and they're too stupid to know any better because it takes the lowest IQ to be the best order follower. These cops are stupid. They shouldn't have even had that oath swearing for the chief. It doesn't matter. They're too stupid. None of them know what it means. They're not going to uphold it. Just skip it. Just skip it and admit it to the people. We're not swearing on this because we're not going to even follow our own laws. So it doesn't even matter that city code is trumping the Constitution because we're not even going to follow those laws. We're going to do what we want, whenever we want, to whoever we want. And if you don't like it, you can F off. That's what they do. So, but they're getting caught. So back to the hearing. I just wanted to point that out.
Any cross-examination?
I know.
You were asked some questions about the fact that just because the mayor doesn't stop a meeting doesn't mean there hasn't been a code violation. Do you remember that line
Yes,
of
yes.
question? I know I didn't
Somewhat.
say it. I didn't say it the same way. Other than Ms. Benson, can you recall the last time someone was asked to leave a city council meeting when they refused to give their address or cross street?
No, I can't recall another time.
Does the city keep statistics on when people are given exclusion notices?
Not to my knowledge.
Does the city keep any records related to when someone is cited for violating the disruptive activity standard?
Not to my knowledge, but I don't generally see these. We drafted them, but generally, I mean, we drafted the form. But generally, I don't have any other interaction with them. In fact, I would have to contact PD records to see was there a prior something like that, because I don't have access to any records of them.
And you said PD records. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, it says on the front of Exhibit 2, email a copy to records@englewoodco.gov. That's police department, just their records system. So they are, I believe, the repository of all of these, but I don't know of any tracking system or anything like that.
Okay, that actually was what I was trying to understand. So I appreciate you guessed my next couple of questions. So can I just say this back to you to make sure that I actually do understand it? Your office made the form, but then the form can be completed by any other city official?
Yes.
And so, for example, a librarian can give someone an exclusion notice if they believe someone's been disruptive in the library?
Yes.
And then it's your understanding that they would fill out this form, it would be served, and then they would email a copy to records@englewoodco.gov.
Yes.
Okay, so if statistics or records related to how frequently the disruptive activity standard is cited, the best source for that would be the records department?
Likely. And we put it on the form. That doesn't mean people actually do it. So it certainly could be possible that the library perhaps served a form but just put it in their file and didn't follow through on that last step. But so I can't guarantee records has every single one, but my hope is that they do. And that's who I personally would go to ask if there had been a prior offense.
Okay. Can you recall another time during your tenure where this light that the clerk turns on went green and then was turned off within 10 seconds?
I can't, but I don't know that I've ever watched either. That's not something that I would pay attention to. Generally, I'm listening to the content, but certainly not paying attention. I can't see the clock from where I sit. It's directly across from it. And so it's not something I would look at.
Can you recall during your tenure another time, I know you gave the example earlier that if someone made a threat during their public comment period, they would be stopped and removed, right? Mm-hmm. Can you recall that happening?
No.
Can you recall during your tenure, anyone ever being stopped in the middle of their public comment period, other than Ms. Benson?
I can't personally recall any time, but that doesn't mean it hasn't happened. And of course, I take vacations occasionally, so I'm not at every meeting either.
Yeah, okay. But just from your memory, in the 3 years you've been sitting during the city council meetings, you can't recall another incident?
No, I can't.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure I cover the exhibits before I forget. So city admitted exhibit 1 was a flash drive. I have exhibits 2 and 3, which are these hard copies. And then Ms. Hubbard, you admitted A, B, C, D, and E. Do you have a flash drive?
They're on a flash drive.
Okay.
There are other videos on there. So if we could, maybe after we finish today, I'll pull the other ones
That would be
off.
great. I just want to make sure I have that for my
Yep.
purposes. Okay, great. Thank you.
Can we take a,
Yeah, what do we take? Like 5 minutes?
Perfect.
Yeah, okay, all right. We'll be in recess for 5 minutes. Mark, are we back on the record? All right, thanks, sir. All right, we are back on the record. City is ready to call the second witness. So you want to raise your hand? Do you hereby swear affirm under penalty of perjury? Testimony you're about to give will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Have a seat. Your witness.
However, to your knowledge, just because the mayor declined
Brian Watts, my last name is spelled W-A-T-T-S.
Push the button.
Oh, which one?
There
There
we
we
go. All right.
Orion Watts, last name is
Thank
spelled
you.
W-A-T-T-S.
Okay, thank you for repeating that. Are you employed currently?
I am employed by the city of Englewood as an Englewood police officer.
Okay, and how long have you worked there?
16 years.
Okay, and you said, are you a police officer?
Yes, I'm a police officer.
Okay. What are some of your job duties just on a day-to-day basis?
I'm a patrol officer, so I answer calls for service.
Okay, and were you on duty on Wednesday, October 9th, 2024?
I was.
Okay, and where were you working?
I was working as a patrol officer that day and throughout the entire city of Englewood.
All right, and I'd like to draw your attention to approximately 11 o'clock that day, late morning. Do you remember doing anything in particular?
Yes, I was asked to come over here to serve a notice of exclusion and ejection.
Okay, and do you remember who you
Pay very close attention to Officer Orion Watts. He's gonna tell some stories.
served that to?
Yes, I did. I served it to Miss Regan Benson.
All right, and I know you gestured, but for the record, do you see Miss Benson here today?
I do.
All right, can you point to where she's sitting?
She's sitting right here at the table.
All right, thank you. Hearing officer, may the record reflect the witnesses identify the appealing party, Miss Regan Benson.
So reflect.
So I'm going to move on to the exclusion notice itself you mentioned. So did you serve the notice of exclusion to Miss Benson?
I did.
All right. Are you authorized to serve notices of exclusion?
I am.
And why?
As a police officer, I'm allowed to serve any kind of criminal or civil notices, and this is a civil notice.
Okay, thank you. Have you reviewed the notice of exclusion itself?
Before I served it to her, I just looked barely over, didn't really review it.
Okay. Was there any part of the exclusion that you filled out yourself?
Yeah, I just had to fill out the time, date, and signing it myself.
Okay. And then can you just explain on that morning the interaction between you and Miss Benson and how you served her, or how the interaction went?
Yeah, I was asked to come on over here to serve Miss Benson. I was waiting around to see where she was. I saw her walking up toward the court, so I walked over to her and said, Miss Benson, and I had a notice of exclusion and ejection for her and went over it with her then.
Okay. And did Miss Benson sign the notice?
She did.
Okay. And did you sign the notice?
I did.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions at this time.
All right, cross-examination.
Good morning, officer. Did you say your first name is Orion?
It sure is.
My nephew's first name is Orion. I've never heard of another person. I think it is the prettiest name.
Not a hugely,
Yeah.
not one that's a lot of people have. But it's pretty cool.
That you never see. I mean, it says O. Watts, but I never know police officers' first
Yeah.
names. So, I would like to better understand how you were called to serve this. So, when you got a copy of the notice, was it completely filled out except for where you signed it and date and put the time?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so it had Miss Benson's address and date of birth already in there.
It already had everything
Okay.
in there.
Do you know who fills that out?
It was filled out, from what I was told, it was filled out by the city attorney.
Bingo.
How did you get a copy of it?
I was given 2 copies by the acting chief. He gave me 2 copies and asked me to go ahead and go serve it.
Okay. Did he give you any direction about when and where to serve it?
He just said he thinks that Miss Benson would be in the court today, and we know that she's going to be there, so go ahead and just serve it to her there.
Okay. So who gave you that information?
That would be the acting chief, Chief Fender.
Chief
Fender.
Sorry, these aren't familiar names.
That's
to me.
okay.
Okay, so let me say this back to you to make sure that I got it right. You showed up for work, had an encounter with Chief Fender, acting Chief Fender, who gave you the paperwork and told you Miss Benson is expected to be in the city council chambers today. Go serve this on her.
Yes.
Okay. Did the chief tell you what Miss Benson was expected to be in city chambers for?
No.
Did you have any hesitation about coming up and serving Miss Benson?
No, I didn't.
Okay. You've had other interactions with Miss Benson previous to this?
Yes.
And she's frequently filming you and during those interactions?
Yes.
As she's entitled to do, right?
Yeah, like told her that she was entitled to as well in this interaction as well.
And you're filming her too? Often.
I have a body cam that I'm always filming any interaction.
Okay. And on this day, like every other time, you had a respectful exchange with Miss Benson?
I'm sorry, can you repeat one more time?
You had a respectful exchange with Miss Benson?
Yes, I was very respectful with her.
And she was asking you questions, but she was respectful to you?
She was asking me questions. She also told me that I got an F for the day.
That didn't feel very good for you, right? You don't want to fail.
Boom. Boom.
Well, nobody ever wants to fail, but I didn't really take it personally.
Right. Okay, so let me see. I was looking at the police report that came out of this. You did a report afterwards. You gave me a business card.
Pay very, very close attention to what's said.
With a report number on it, right?
Yes.
And the report basically just says you showed up here and served her, right?
Yep.
The reported as, it says disturbance, verbal.
So that's going to be from our dispatch. That's not anything that I can do with it. And a lot of times those are just catch-all. That's all.
So the dispatcher puts in whatever they put in for this section.
Which section would that be exactly?
It's under call for service. It has reported as, and it says disturbance verbal. That's not information you control.
We can control it sometimes, but I don't believe in this case. I think it was just automatically populated.
Okay. Would you say that Ms. Ben
Automatically populated.
Incident on the day you served her with this notice was causing a disturbance?
I had very brief interaction with her, so I don't know anything else.
So with you, your interactions with her, did you observe her to be causing a disturbance?
With her interactions with me, all I can speak on is with just myself, and it was just the interactions just with me and wasn't a huge disturbance, no.
Okay. So if there was a disturbance, it happened sometime where you weren't present?
If there was, I wouldn't have been present.
You see this hearing officer? She never looks up. This biatch was typing the entire time. And if you go back and read the her ruling, she had so many things factually wrong in there. She called the officer, Aaron Glee, that wrote the warrant for me. She said he worked for Lakewood. This whole thing is just mind-blowing.
Were you dispatched to the city council building or to the city building to serve this, or what, that came from your chief?
That came from the chief.
How did you get a dispatch report number then?
I asked for a report number.
And how does that happen?
I just asked for over the radio for a case number.
Okay. And then dispatch assigns the case number 248729.
If that's the one on there, yes.
Okay.
Just for the record, Ms. Hubbard, Exhibit 2 is the notice of exclusion, which is 4 pages. Any report that you're referring to hasn't been admitted into evidence, just FYI.
I only have one copy. I'm happy to admit
Okay.
it, but I only have one copy.
I just
of
want to let you know, I don't have that, so it's not part of the official record.
Here,
So-
I'll go ahead and.
My only request would be if she asks the witness to testify further with regards to that. If she's provided.
Thank you.
You can go ahead and put it in for the record. I'm not sure what letter I'm on, Your Honor. I have a tendency to lose track.
Yeah, I think that's F. So I'll just mark this exhibit F at the top. Thank you. All right, and Mr. Cash, no objection?
No.
Okay, exhibit F is admitted. Thank you.
Just one moment, Your Honor. Okay, nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
I
No
see.
redirect.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So do you have any further witnesses?
Oh, no, we do not, hearing officer. The only other thing I was going to bring up before I cede ground to opposing counsel was I would like to admit 2 pieces of evidence through judicial.
Okay, hang tight. Let's go back and look at the day that Watts served me that exclusion. You heard that testimony? I guess Watts forgot that he called over to dispatch and had quite the conversation with Michelle, right? You see all the conflicting testimony about how he ended up over there and how the form got filled out and all this. You remember Tamara saying that she didn't, she doesn't fill that form out and she didn't know where I was going to be and nobody really knew anything. And it just so happened that it was coincidental that they just showed up at the other hearing to try to disrupt that hearing with Damian Elligan, that stupid shit show. Yeah, they thought they would come over there and, throw a little hitch into that and get me to react and maybe hopefully get an arrest. I'm not quite sure what they were up to, but me and my attorney got separated and I was in the bathroom and I come out of the bathroom and just lo and behold, there's just that cop. There's just Watts just waiting for me right there. Mm-hmm.
Find out what's going on if you want to.
I don't mind taking my.
Hi. So I'm gonna let him explain and I'm gonna tell you that they need to separate us before this occurred. Okay. So this is Officer Watts.
So I'm Officer Watts. Hi,
Team
very nice to
member.
meet
Nice to
you.
meet
Officer
you.
Watts. So I was asked to serve Miss Benson with another notice of ejection and exclusion. Looks like it was from something that happened on October 7th, 2024 at 7:15 p.m. where she's more than welcome to read it over. She said that it was convenient that I separated you two first. And I said, please have her come on out. Okay. You're more than welcome to be here for this. I asked her if she wants to. She can read through everything if she would like to. I believe there's a description for everything here, underneath here, and here. And then there's a last page as well. That last page just goes over what her rights are there with the P.
Listen very, very carefully to the question my attorney asks him.
Feeling.
Okay, and who's issuing this order?
This order, I believe, was typed up by the city attorney. I am going to be issuing it though.
He
So,
doesn't understand how the First Amendment
okay.
applies either.
So I'm just issuing it.
Yep.
Right at this point in time. I will go ahead and I haven't put the time down yet because I didn't know exactly what I was going to see you guys. I'm going to put down 11 o'clock. So that's what time it is right now.
He wants me to sign it. You've been served. That's all you're doing by signing it is acknowledging receipt of it. So.
I have two copies. The reason why I have two copies is one for her and then one for our copy as well. I also have two cards with the case number on it. The case number is just showing that I have to write a report on everything I do. So I come over here and I served her with this. That's all it's going to say. And then I'm going to leave. Let me make sure I give you my card first. So I'm Officer Watts. On the back of it, if you'll put it over there, is going to be a case number.
Thank you.
As well.
Appreciate it.
You're very
Okay,
welcome.
so it says I'm being charged with a crime, but I haven't been charged with a crime again. Okay. Just so we are clear, Officer Watts, on how you're operating under your oath.
That's between.
No, it's you're a police officer and you're giving me something that says I'm being charged with a crime, but yet you're not citing me with a crime.
No,
The city does not have the authority to cite me with a crime. Only you have the authority to cite me
Between
with a crime.
you, your lawyer, and the city right now. That's where that is.
Okay, I'll be ready. And today is 10.
It's the 9th, but if you want to attend it. Then there is, let me give you this copy, so this one can be yours. And then there's the second copy. This is just for my records as well. Okay, let me give you my card. Officer Watts.
You need to work better
Okay.
at honoring your oath.
Sounds good.
You shouldn't be here today.
Thank you, Ms. Benson.
Get an F today.
All right, thank you.
Wow.
And he just had to express his feelings being hurt. He was so hurt. You had respectful exchange with Miss Benson? Well, she did tell me I got an F for the day. Well, I didn't tell him what F stands for. Fucker. Okay. The other part of his testimony? I guess he wasn't watching my channel, was he? And forgot that he'd done this? Hello?
Englewood Police, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle, it's Watts.
Hey, you.
Hey, just let you know, you guys know the detail I'm going on at the courts?
No, what's going on? We were wondering.
Okay, I'm going over there for Regan's hearing on her exclusion notice, and I'm going to be giving her a second one as well.
Awesome. Do you need anybody else?
No, nobody else, just me.
Okay.
Fine there, and yeah, I'll probably be asking you for a DR later on. So if you don't mind, attach me to.
We'll make a call. We just put you on a detail, but we'll make a call so we can give you a case number.
Yeah, if you can make a call for me, And actually, go ahead and make a call and go ahead and assign a DR for that already, please.
Okay, give me 1 second. What should I put it under? Code violation?
Sure.
Sure, why not, right?
Disturbance, code violation, whatever.
Okay, disturbance. I like that one for her. 8729.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You have boyfriend? No, I don't have a boyfriend. Honey, why you don't have? You look so pretty, like model, cheerleader, something pretty.
You need to work better at honoring your oath.
Sounds good.
You shouldn't be here today.
Thank you, Ms. Benson.
Get an F today.
All right, thank you.
Hold on. I gotta stop that one. They are the dumbest people on the planet. They can't even keep, they lie so much that they can't even keep track of their lies. Tamara, you lied so many times up there. I just sat through that hearing, and we had already agreed. We weren't calling any witnesses. I wasn't going to testify. We were jumping through the hoops of their kangaroo show because we knew they just keep putting the toppings on the salad. And even after the hearing, they still keep putting the toppings on the salad. Tamara, is somebody gonna just say we need to stop? We gotta cut our losses here. Is anybody gonna do something? I don't think so. It is so stupid. That's Michelle Rom, Press for Transparency. So that video I just played, she's a dispatcher there. And I showed a picture of her with the crown on her head. I did an official records request, got that call. I guess O'Ryan forgot to even remember that he had that conversation with Michelle and told her to put it in as a disturbance. It just shows how stupid cops are. They are so stupid. That's what makes them so dangerous, and they don't even get it. They don't even get it. And then you guys, to add insult to injury or vice versa, or fuel to the fire or fire to the fuel, whatever, I get there on Friday to go into Zeph's hearing, and guess who is sitting outside the hearing? Murphy. Remember the last video I did of him flipping me off 3 times while I'm recording him? Yeah. He's there to testify for the city. That guy is there to testify for the city. And wait till you hear the things that we were talking about. They're so stupid. Sometimes I don't even know how to respond because they're so dumb. I don't even know how to get myself dumbed down to that level. And that's why I end up just looking at them and going, you are an effing bleeping. There's nothing else left. What else do you say? I just. Okay, we got to get back to the hearing because here comes some really good stuff.
Judicial notice. One is the affidavit that was issued for the arrest warrant that we've already testified to. In this case, that was issued based on Ms. Benson's behavior. And then the second is just a register of actions in the criminal case that just, again, shows that she was issued an arrest warrant on it because probable cause was found. I have copies I can show opposing counsel as well.
No objection to those court records being made part of the record.
And are those already marked as exhibits?
They are. I think we will be on 4 and 5.
Yeah, 4 and 5, please. All right, noting no objection from Ms. Hubbard. Exhibits 4 and 5 are admitted. You can bring those up. Ms. Hubbard, do you have copies of these documents? Okay, all right.
I'm representing Ms. Benson in the criminal case, Your Honor, so
Okay, just want to
plenty
make
of
sure.
copies.
I figured you did, just wanted to make sure. All right, so let's see. Exhibit 4 will be the affidavit for arrest warrant. Exhibit 5 is the register of actions for the court. Both are admitted. All right.
And then nothing else from the city.
Nothing else from the city. All right. Ms. Hubbard, do you wish to call any witnesses?
No.
Okay. Let's see. So it's about 18 after. We'll be able, I know you have a hard end.
I do, Your Honor, although I mean, 12, if I'm out of here by 12:45, I should be fine.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I always try to give myself.
No, I completely understand. All right, closing argument of the city.
Yeah, just give me 1 moment.
Well, this isn't that important. There's a couple spots we'll stop and listen to Nathan make a bigger fool of himself.
Hearing officer, as introduced, my name is Nathan Cash and I'm representing the city of Englewood in this matter. On October 7th, 2024, Ms. Benson attended the public comment session of the city of Englewood City Council meeting. At this meeting, she was asked to comply with city policy, refused, but more importantly, continued to interrupt the mayor as he requested for her to stop. Based on the several-minute interruption in the resulting recess, as well as her refusal later on to leave the chambers altogether when she was again asked by the mayor, the notice of exclusion was issued. The city today has the burden to demonstrate by preponderance of the evidence that Ms. Benson committed the rule violations that were specified, also that the issuance, duration, and conditions of the exclusion notice itself are lawful. Through the testimony and evidence that's been presented today, the city has not only met, but has exceeded this burden. I'll begin by speaking about the rule violations themselves. I will then go to the issuance and duration of the exclusion notice, and then speak about the First Amendment concerns that were raised today. So first, Ms. Benson was noted as pursuant to Exhibit 3 of the standards behavior. The exclusion notice specified that she violated the rule of disruptive behavior or activity in the city council meeting. Through testimony of her today and the Exhibit 1, the video and evidence, you have heard that Ms. Benson was asked to stop and said the words, "Stop, if you interrupt me, I'm going to keep talking," or something to that effect. She acknowledged that she was being asked to stop speaking by the mayor and did not do so. This in and of itself disrupted the meeting for longer than a public comment period would have lasted, as you can tell by Exhibit 1, between 5 and 10 minutes, and prevented other people who would wish to speak from promptly being able to exercise their First Amendment rights. As you can show, it's more likely than not through the testimony of the city attorney today that and the videos and evidence that is submitted, Ms. Benson did commit this rule violation. The second, Ms. Benson was noted as violating any applicable criminal law. On the exclusion notice, it is marked in the other category under Tier 1 violations, but as Ms. Niles, the city attorney, testified, a Tier 2 violation is the violation of any applicable criminal law. So this, in effect, was marked as a Tier 1 violation, which is all the city's argument was today, but could have been marked as a Tier 2 violation. Specifically, Ms. Benson was marked as having violated CRS 18.9.110, 3 separate provisions, 18.9.110.2, 18.9.110.3, and 18.9.110.4. I will very briefly go through each of these. So CRS 18.9.110.2 states that no person shall, at or in any such public building, willfully impede any public official or employee in the lawful performance of duties or activities through the use of restraint, abduction, coercion, or intimidation, or by force and violence or threat thereof. The evidence and testimony heard today shows by preponderance of the evidence that each of these elements was met. It is not contested that this is a public building and that Ms. Benson was at a public meeting. Further, you can tell from the video, they had to call a recess due to Ms. Benson's refusal to stop talking despite repeated instructions from the mayor, who is the authorized official in charge of maintaining order at public meetings in the city of Englewood during this time. Further, Ms. Benson willfully impeded this. She knew that she was being asked to stop, and she refused. Regardless of not she was aware of the specific law, she had the required intent that she was acknowledging she was asked to be stopped speaking by the mayor and refused to do so. Further, as you can tell from the video that is exhibited as Exhibit 1, Ms. Benson continued to speak louder and louder, which constitutes intimidation pursuant to the statute. So by preponderance.
Did you hear that? Intimidation. And you'll read that in the hearing officer's ruling that I was trying to intimidate. So they're going to try to, we're not even in a court. We're in a hearing and he's defining statute. They've gone back and forth, back and forth, back and forth on whether or not they're excluding me for state law violations, which Tamara admits that, well, no, that's not really it. And there's absolutely, this is not the right court. This is not the right jurisdiction to hear state charges. But here we are.
Of evidence, Ms. Benson has been shown to have violated Provision 2. Provision 3 is slightly different. There are many similar elements, so I should be able to discuss this a little bit more quickly. But it states that no person shall willfully refuse or fail to leave any such public building upon being requested to do so by the chief administrative officer or his designee charged with maintaining order in such public building. If the person has committed, is committed, threatens to commit, or incites another to commit any act which did or would, if completed, to disrupt, impair, interfere with, or obstruct the lawful missions, processes, procedures, and functions being carried on in the building. Again, I've already explained Ms. Benson was at the public building, was not contested, and there was a public meeting going on, which does constitute a lawful mission, process, procedure, or function being carried on in the city council chambers. Second, I've demonstrated that she willfully refused to leave. She specifically stated when asked by the mayor to leave, "I will not leave," and then did not leave the building, but walked to the back of the room for about 15 minutes, as you heard from testimony today. Second, while we have established that the city manager is the chief administrative officer, we've heard testimony that he has officially designated the mayor for maintaining order in the city council chambers during public meetings. Further, even if you found to be a hearing officer that Ms. Benson's refusal to listen to the mayor's orders to quit talking did not constitute a disruption, she did say, "I will not, if you keep interrupting me, I'll keep interrupting you and keep speaking." And that would constitute threatening to continue an act, which if completed would disrupt. There's no indication that Ms. Benson would ever cede the ground or stop talking. She spoke for longer than the 3 minutes that is normally allowed in public comment and was refusing to listen to any directions. Thus, the city has shown by preponderance of evidence that Ms. Benson has also committed this rule violation as established by the standards of behavior with reference to state statute. Finally, the rule, provision 4 states that no person shall, at any meeting or session conducted by any judicial, legislative, or administrative body, or official at or in any public building, willfully impede, disrupt, or hinder the normal proceedings of such meeting or session by any act of intrusion into the chamber or other areas designated for use of the body or official conducting the meeting or session, or by any act designed to intimidate, coerce, or hinder any member of such body or official engaged in performance of duties of such meeting or session. Once again, and I hope the last time I'll have to reiterate this, Ms. Benson was at a public meeting in a public building and refused and threatened to commit behavior and did commit behavior designed to intimidate the mayor by saying that she would not stop interrupting him or listen to his orders as the official authorized maintaining order. Thus, the city again has demonstrated a preponderance of evidence Ms. Benson has committed this rule violation. However, hearing officer, any one of these 4 specified rule violations is sufficient to support a 45-day exclusion pursuant to the city policies as referenced in the standards of behavior. Thus, even if you find Ms. Benson only, by preponderance of evidence, you've shown that she's committed one of these 4 violations, that is enough to support her exclusion in this regard. Now I'm going to move on to speak about the issuance and duration of the exclusion notice. So the city code, specifically the Englewood Municipal Code 1143F, specifies when an exclusion notice is properly issued. It states, among other things, it states that an exclusion notice must be in writing, signed by an authorized official, and include the date of issuance, the term not exceeding 90 days, subject to certain exceptions which do not apply here, the location of the exclusion, a mention of an allowance to enter as necessary to conduct legitimate city business, identification of a specific rule violated, a brief statement of credible evidence of the rule violation.
Okay, I am done with this idiot. I cannot listen to another second, even in warp speed. I'm so sick of. How'd you like to be this dumb little scumbag? Would you feel good? Would you feel good about going and getting yourself a government job because you can't get a job anywhere else because you're too stupid?
Niles.
Sorry. Here's where the nuts and bolts come completely together. And for those of you, there was a question in there about why my attorney was in such a hurry. She wasn't in a hurry. She actually came 10 times more prepared to this than I ever asked her to or expected her to. This was a no-win situation. We knew what they were doing. They deliberately hired this hearing officer who has a history of botching major city-altering events, like people that live in the city of Englewood collecting signatures to get ballot initiatives, citizen initiatives in front of the voters. The city saying, oh, we're not going to have this. Oh, you don't have enough signatures, or we're throwing all these signatures out, but we'll hold a hearing for you. Yeah, this bitch, Kristen Brown, was hired to specifically destroy all of those citizens' efforts. She was specifically hired. She had the ruling. I'm telling you, this document, she pre-wrote it. She didn't even wait for the hearing. And I'm going to show it to you again when Jamie finishes up here. So my attorney, as I said in the other part one, Jamie Hubbard, this isn't these municipalities and even state and county courts, these aren't her things. Okay. Yeah. High end. Yeah. Maybe in some district court hearing, criminal stuff, criminal defense. But this right here is a well-seasoned attorney that argues in federal court. So when you spend your career doing that and you have to dumb yourself down to jump through the hoops of this shit show so you can get back into your regular stomping grounds, she was more than prepared.
Met their burden to show a policy violation. And I'm going to
This would be the form of
Go away,
provided
Nathan.
to Ms. Benson.
Get off,
Thank you.
get away from the podium. Sick of you.
Ms. Hubbard.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to start with the first prong, whether they met their burden to show a policy violation. And I'm going to start with the criminal code statute. They allege there's 3 violations. This is not the venue to determine whether 18.9.110 has been violated. Ms. Benson is being prosecuted by a district attorney in a criminal courtroom in a county court in this judicial district, who will decide, a jury will decide, whether Ms. Benson has violated those statutes. That case is still ongoing. If she is ultimately found guilty of those violations, the city can, using that conviction, come back here and seek an exclusion of her. Unless and until that happens, Regan Benson is presumed innocent of having violated those statutes. This is not the forum to determine whether there's been a violation of a Title 18 statute. And with all due respect, you are not the appropriate decision maker for that question. Even a county court judge appointed by Governor Polis does not have the authority to make that decision. That is decided by a jury. I can walk through each of the alleged violations of Section 110 if you feel that would be helpful. I think as a matter of law, the city has not met its burden because they have not presented any evidence that a court of competent jurisdiction has found Ms. Benson violated any provision of Title 18. Moving on to the other alleged violation, this disruptive behavior. We have to keep in mind that the City of Englewood standards can only be applied within the lens of the First Amendment. They cannot just forbid someone for yelling when they are passionately expressing an opinion to government officials, The First Amendment is kind of the umbrella that covers all, and only to the extent something falls outside of the bounds of the First Amendment is the city allowed to punish it. But down on a more technical level, in this case, what we have is, I got a little bit confused during the hearing about what exactly the supposedly disruptive conduct was. But I believe what it comes down to is that Ms. Benson didn't stop talking when the mayor was trying to talk. So and I know the hearing officer has the video and can go back and watch it. So I'm just going to give you my overlay of what I believe it shows. Ms. Benson is called to the podium. The mayor recognizes her by saying, "Ms. Benson, please state your address and cross streets." We watched other examples of videos that this is the mayor's process. He recognizes people. He says, "Please state your name, address, cross streets." We watched a video of one woman say she's in District 1 and that's good enough, and she is allowed to continue talking and give her public comment. We watched a video of Ms. Benson just ignoring what the presiding officer had said regarding your address and cross street, and she was allowed to continue her public comment. There isn't a back and forth as much as the city attorney would like there to be, or would like the record to be different. The way that this works in the city of Englewood public comment time is not that the mayor formally says, "And now you may proceed." The videos that have been admitted to evidence show that what the mayor does is he says, "Please give your name and cross streets," and the person begins talking. And significantly, when the person begins talking, this light turns green. Now, I understand the city attorney may not pay much attention to whether the light on top of the podium turns green, but the speakers do. The speakers know that when the light turns green, their 3 minutes have started. The speakers know that when the light turns yellow, that they're running out of time. And the speakers know that when the light turns red, they're done. And you can see in the videos that we've admitted into evidence that that's what the speakers rely on, right? The clock is facing city council, can't be seen by the speakers. This red, yellow, red, orange, green light is what indicates to the speaker, "I'm good to go." The city attorney testified before we started talking about Ms. Benson. The city attorney testified that essentially the process is the mayor calls someone up, it tells them to give their name and address, and then the clock starts, the light turns green, they get their 3 minutes. City council is not to interrupt them. The process is that city council is not to interrupt the speaker. Instead, if city council has questions after the speaker is done, they get an opportunity to ask questions after the person has had their 3 minutes. Then there's a back and forth that can go on as long as city council wants it to, because city council at that point is asking questions. But during the 3 minutes, that is the speaker's time. People have the right to come lobby their public officials. And if the city of Englewood wants to say you get 3 minutes, that's their 3 minutes. They can say whatever they want. City attorney testified. They can say whatever they want. We don't regulate the content of their speech as long as they're not threatening someone. Once this light turns green, speaker, you have the floor and you've got 3 minutes. That is the message that is conveyed by the Englewood city government, by the mayor, and by the Englewood City Council to all the members of the public. And when Regan Benson came in to give her city comment on the day in question, that is what she understood to be the truth, because that is what has always happened to her. And on this day, she approached the podium. The mayor says, "Give your name and cross streets or city of residence." And as she has done before, she did not. She just began speaking. And significantly, the light turned green. It signaled to her, Miss Benson, these are your 3 minutes. And Your Honor, that is what she says on the recording. This is my time. I'm going to talk for my 3 minutes. And the city is arguing that Miss Benson was interrupting the mayor. Your Honor, that's not what was happening. The light had turned green. Miss Benson was on her 3 minutes, and the mayor was interrupting her. She doesn't have to yield to him during her 3 minutes. You heard the city attorney testify that she has never seen anyone other than Regan Benson interrupted during their 3 minutes. Regan Benson was recognized to speak. She was authorized to speak, and she got her 3 minutes. She was entitled to her 3 minutes. The city council decided not to listen to her that day. A minute into her comments, one of the city council members asks for a break, suggests they take a break, as they do many times every city council meeting, and 4 of the city council members leave of their own choosing. No one said their safety was at risk. No one said Miss Benson was a threat to do anything but keep talking for the 3 minutes she's entitled to talk. They chose to leave. Miss Benson did not cause the disruption of the meeting. They chose to leave during her public comment period. The city attorney testified it wasn't the tone of Miss Benson's voice. It wasn't how loud she was. None of those things are uncommon. It was that she wouldn't stop talking when the mayor was interrupting her during her 3 minutes. She did not have to stop talking. It was her time. The city of Englewood does not get to silence Regan Benson because they don't like what she has to say. They're trying really hard to do that. They've tried to have her prosecuted more than once. This is my second time appearing here for an exclusion hearing. I'm sure it won't be my last, because they are on a mission to shut her up because she advocates for people they don't want to have to deal with. And that is exactly why this hearing matters. And that's exactly why we have the First Amendment. The city attorney also testified she can't remember anyone other than Regan Benson ever being made to stop talking when they didn't give their address or cross streets. First Amendment is not simply time, place, and manner restrictions. When you are going to have what you consider a content-neutral time, place, and manner restriction, it has to be applied in a non-discriminatory and non-retaliatory way. The city of Englewood is targeting Miss Benson. That was very clear from the testimony today. It's very clear from the history of events. They are applying these standards to her in a way that they are not applying them to anyone else. And they are doing it in retaliation for her exercising her First Amendment rights. Miss Benson gives public comment. She also records all around this government building. Those are both recognized, long-held, well-established First Amendment protected activities. And when you retaliate against someone because of their First Amendment activities, that in and of itself is a violation of the First Amendment. And that's what we have here today. We have the city of Englewood doesn't like what she has to say. They're trying to hide behind, we're making a content neutral time, place, and manner restriction, but they're making one that only applies to her. That violates the First Amendment. There was no disruptive activity by my client. My client approached the podium, was recognized by the mayor, started speaking, and continued speaking. And after 1 minute, city council chose to leave. That is not a disruption caused by Regan Benson. The city has not met its burden of proving a violation of the city standards. The city has not met its burden of proving a violation of Title 18 because this is the wrong venue. There is no proof that the appropriate court of competent jurisdiction has found any such violation. They have failed to meet their burden on the first prong. Even if for some reason the hearing officer believes they have satisfied that burden, entering this order would not be lawful. I'm not contesting the duration of it, although I think it violates the First Amendment. I'm not contesting the conditions, contesting the entry of the order. You cannot, as a matter of law, enforce a regulation that against one person who you don't like what they have to say because they're loud and because they make their message really well known and because their First Amendment activity, their videos, their comments, their viewpoints cause you a headache. Because you know what happens when Regan Benson makes a video? More people come. And more people stand up here and more people tell the city council members, you need to do something to protect the most vulnerable citizens in our society. That's what happens when Regan Benson comes. That's what happens when Regan Benson makes videos. And that's what the city of Englewood wants to stop. And this hearing, this exclusion cannot be a tool available to them. Entering an exclusion notice that keeps Regan Benson from attending city council meetings where she comes and makes her videos, where she comes and makes herself heard, that in and of itself violates the First Amendment. Entering this exclusion order would be unlawful. And if there's no other questions from the hearing officer, I have nothing more today.
Thank you. Any brief rebuttal?
No, hearing officer.
All right. All right. I'm going to close the hearing. Ms. Hubbard, why don't you prepare? Yeah, prepare.
That's all she wrote. Hey, Lucky 225. Yeah, that was my attorney. And if you missed, I thought you were in the first one. I thought you were over there in that part 1 day drinking game, but this is part 2. So we knew before we were ever going to agree to go through that process. We already knew the city they were at the bottom of the barrel before we ever got there, right? So there's this thing, called strategy. And that's why your attorneys tell you, don't make everything public. Don't show all your cards, right? Well, this is already public. This is public information. So that's why we're watching it. But that's all I'm going to tell you about where this is going. So, yes, Carl, we got a ruling 3 days after that hearing. Let's look at it again. We looked at it in the first hearing, but let's look at it again. So here it is. I mean, it's 12 pages, right? She doesn't even cite stuff right in here. I think this was probably written for her. I don't know. Benson and her attorney, Jamie Hubbard, appeared at the hearing. there's all this municipal code that they're talking about with the 45-day exclusion, blah, blah, blah. This whole standards of behavior and excluding people from a government building based on your feelings. We heard 2 straight hours of my butt hurts. We heard 2 straight hours in Damien's hearing of how his butt hurt and all the libraries' butts hurt. I am sick of this political torture that sane people are in. And whoever was commenting, I think I starred that comment. We're going to go back and look at those comments and talk about that a little bit more. So, yeah, here's the summary of evidence, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to eventually post this whole hearing for you guys and for whoever else wants to come back and watch the whole thing at their own pace or whatever. I just wanted to do it in sections like this so I could highlight some of the nonsense. That's why we did that. But there was so much conflicting testimony. And just a small handful of lies that aren't going to bode well for them in the criminal case that they got this young little DA to pick up, which aren't even these charges, by the way. We had court this past Friday on the charge of disrupting a public meeting, which is a petty offense. They're not going to get anywhere on it, but they want to play games for a little bit. So my attorney is also going to play their games with them. But she would like to educate the district attorney's office in Arapahoe County, hopefully for the final time, in how their office is being used as a pawn. As the cops, they won't arrest me. They write bullshit warrants that don't have the facts in them from their investigation. They get a judge to sign a warrant for my arrest, and that's how they get their cases into the DA's office. Because lo and behold, they're having a problem getting some cases into the DA's office other than issuing arrest warrants. Imagine that, okay? So blah, blah, blah. Niles testified about this. She testified about that. Blah, blah, blah. Tamara Niles. Yes, she testified that the exclusion order was issued based on 2 things: disrupting the meeting by not allowing the mayor to speak and conduct the meeting, necessitating a recess. Oh, they did that on their own. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. My attorney played some videos to show all the disparities. So if you missed part 1 of this, it's pinned in the comments. Make sure you bookmark it so you can go watch some of that, or wait until I publish the entire hearing. Blah, 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 blah. The hearing officer made up pretty much her own stuff here. Benson argued that once the green cylinder light on the podium, none of this ever happened. That's why I'm saying she had this written up before she even got in that room. Somebody wrote it for her. Her friend Tamara wrote it for her, like she did all the other things. Tamara Niles is a nasty, disgusting individual. I'm going to stop there. We got to see Elizabeth give her address in Springfield, Ohio, which happens to be Freddy Krueger's address. That was great. If you guys missed that, you're going to want to go back and watch that. It was fantastic. And then she gives her opinion here on all this ruling stuff that she. By my actions, I prevented the mayor from conducting the meeting. I intimidated him and harassed him during the meeting. Holy hell. And then she goes and gives the counter. This is so stupid. This. Contrary to Hubbard's argument, these are not criminal proceedings. Yeah, well, no shit, brown face, Kristen. And it's not contrary to Hubbard's argument. That was Hubbard's argument. You don't get it because you two are a stupid tyrant over there in Lyons as the municipal judge, raping people of every penny they have over there. You're a tyrant. You're a tyrant, welfare, whore, hooker, slut. Ugh. Blah, 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 blah. Here's the ruling. Blah, blah, blah. But what I pointed out, my favorite part of this stupid bitch puts a footnote in here. Doesn't even put the whole statute in here. She's accusing me of committing this crime. On top of this, up here. See all this? Right here. And she doesn't even finish it. She cites law with ellipsis. That is a trip. That is an absolute trip. Are you drunk yet? Let's just look at these comments. So yeah. So if you missed that first hearing, there it is. Sylvia, thank you very much. If you guys didn't see my short today that I published, please go check it out. Mountain Consumer. Yeah, we talked about this. Why was your lawyer in a hurry? She wasn't. She actually gave that way more time than I expected her to, as I said. There was no job to get done here. It wouldn't have mattered. This is not the proper court of jurisdiction to get the job done, if you will. Purposivism. Purposivism. Law interpretation to fit their bias. Bingo. Thanks for being in here, TC. Avelina. Absolutely. And not only set up, but set up to lose as well. That's okay. I'm all right with that. And one more, Mountain Consumer. Your lawyer plays too nice with them. Well, you wouldn't want me to send somebody into Englewood that doesn't know how to win people over. Now, would you? So, at any rate, that's that. Did you all enjoy your jailhouse, Pruno? Did you bring your hooch? Did you get all hooched up? DJ, can I FOIA or Cora request the electronic files that will have a creation date on the electronic version? I don't know. What document are you talking about? Get a billboard truck like Long Island audit. Nah. Waste of money. We need people. We need people to step up. That's what really needs to happen. Bob Lau, where do we go from here? Stay tuned. Yeah, Evelina, you know, this is good. They're intentionally changing their city code to make it a requirement that you have to meet a certain parameter of enough personal information, if you will, before they're going to allow you to speak. It's going to get challenged. They need redress badly. You think? Thank you very much. All right, you guys. Well, thank you for being in here. Have a good rest of your Sunday night. It's going to be a rough week. You want to call? Call. But make them answer. Englewood, Colorado. Liberty Blair, take care. Ooh, it's 3 a.m. at the UK. In the UK, Paul, thanks for being in here. Well, lucky it's already been challenged numerous times. And the only person that's getting criminalized over it is me. Stay tuned. Tomorrow is Englewood City Council meeting with regular public comment. I will be providing comment. That's all I'm going to say. Am I meeting a new friend tomorrow? Thank you, Truth and Reality. Take care, you guys.